the first Zoom call we're holding. We'll hold at least one other, maybe two other, during the study. And the agenda for today is, let me just see here, one where we're going to do some general introductions about why we exist, the study exists, to intros you'll see people that you have had some connections with live. Then go through roles as a participant beta tester, grounding you on some of the specific things we're doing, and giving some descriptions of where we are in some app features, some devices that are being developed right now. And then go into the primary section of the talk, which is going to be a chance for you to ask questions. Just a couple things to know. The way we set this up, you all are anonymous, and the way we'll run the question answers, also they'll be fed into us and we'll answer. And again, we're recording this and hoping this will help you better understand what's going on. So let's start right away. For the group, we're a nonprofit. For You and Me was founded to understand more how it is we could use apps and various wearable devices to not just help the doctor in their office, but actually empower individuals, empower them to navigate their own health conditions and wellness. We had seen through ourselves being clinicians working in various roles that medical treatments are way too often selected based on information that's not relevant sometimes to specific individuals. And these studies that we do are ones where we're hoping that you as individuals will be able to build your own portraits of what's happening in your disease for yourself, but obviously also for being able to share with clinicians and other patients. Over the last 15 years, we have been driven by an interest in also changing what it means to be in the study. Often studies are almost medieval with people called subjects, and the clinicians in some hallowed ground, asymmetric from the people who they're studying. And our sense is that it is better in so many ways if actually, when you're trying to understand a disease, there is much more symmetry where participants and study researchers are working together, where the insights that are coming about the disease are taken seriously. And so we have been doing this type of work for a while. More recently, going to the point where in this study, we've asked, can we develop the tools that we're doing also by having a participant-centered design of the tool and having that voice be the one that actually drives our design. We've been doing it for a while. Here's a list of some of the studies that we do. We do almost all feasibility studies. That means where we're not trying to make a product. We're trying to come up and answer a question about what happens to women during pregnancy. Do they all go through pregnancy in the same way? Or we've done several studies on stress and how that affects health, how it affects mental health, physical health. Also, at the bottom, you can see we've been looking into ways where these really expensive devices might be affordable for people around the world. So we've been doing these types of things for a while, and there is a fair amount of work that is already out, already published, and these slides, which we'll put into the website where you can look at them afterwards, have links to some of the work that we've been doing. So we've been thinking about it for a while. This study here has a different design than past because, as I mentioned, it's really meant to co-design symptom tracking and looking at how individuals with a disease are different, but also how it is that each person on a day-by-day basis and those fluctuations might be able to be captured for them and for others. The rationale is in keeping with what we've done other times, to empower patients to improve their symptom portraits, and here not just to follow a symptom, but to mesh them together and look at how they relate, correlate with each other, and even explore what is making an individual better or worse. So in this one, we're all the way down to setting up ways that someone could say, I wonder if drinking white wine at night is making my sleep worse, or I'm wondering if the fatigue or exhaustion I have after this would be made better by. So it's really, our hope is that we've built almost like an exploratorium for each of you, where you can go, well, why is this happening to me? The current snapshots in the clinician's office, as we've been told early on vibrantly by the Rare as One groups, are sometimes awkward. The person that you're going to see may not even know as much as you do about the disease. The ability to convey what it is that happened to you as a recollection, we feel, is enhanced in terms of ability to get that across to a clinician by being able to say, hey, look at this objective sign. Look what happened. It's not just it's not in my head. And also that we have been developing tools so that the ability to look at a change in someone's clinical condition might actually help even in developing therapies, because the dimensions of data are concrete enough that an FDA or regulatory agency could help use this wearable data to gain approvals. The other thing that I think all of you have seen, because by being on the call you've been meeting with your study coordinators, is that we've found it very valuable to have these bi-weekly check-ins with your study coordinators, which are not constables. They're not going, why didn't you do this? It's really meant to be a support system that can nourish you, can give you a sense of how insights might be done, answer questions, but it's not a 1-800 helpline. It's literally to establish a buddy, someone that you are working with on the things that you care to develop, and also to capture what it is that you find most important. So for this, I think all are aware that we are extremely fortunate to have Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, CZI, as the funder, and more than funder. They have been part of shaping all the things that we're doing. We're the sponsor with our tech partner, Agile Ops, and then of course the Rare as One groups, the Patient-Led Research Collaborative, Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research, PCD Foundation, Cure BCP, and Mission Cure. And when I say we're lucky, this is phase 3 of the process, and through often more than once a week, but certainly multiple time a month meetings, we went through a whole period where we talked about what is an app, what can it do, how does one design it. Then we went through a phase where we had an ability to work with those that were building the designers, and bring in certain things that each group had as their own themes, what they thought was going to be most important for their participants. And now we're moving into this third phase of beta testing, where we're looking for ways that the participants themselves, right, each of you, up to arms of 50 individuals in each of the 5 arms, are really the engine. You are who are going to drive our insights, our thoughts, our ability to correct. But I just have to give a deep appreciation for all the Rare as One groups, the clinical leads that work with the advocate leads that have gotten us to where we are. And these things are now real. Here are the 5 iOS apps. All but PCD also have an Android equivalent. And today is going to be talking a little more about what is this thing, why are we using, what do we expect out of you, what is it that might be able to be done. There's the app, but in each of the studies there's an Aura ring, which is looking at sleep activity, resilience, stress, physiology. It is the most sort of mature clinical slash commercial product, and it is the anchor for all of the studies. For my pancreatitis, for my long COVID, we're using also the Empatica device. Those two groups have the Empatica watch, which is giving extra layer of information on the sympathetic nervous system, on autonomic nervous system, particularly able to track external stress and pain. The mere respiratory spirometer is included in the RVCP and PCD rare as one subarms, and then a special subset, just a subset of the my long COVID group is also using a device that's really brand new. It's still emerging from Lumia, that has a way to directly measure cerebral blood flow and head position as a way of helping with some aspects of dysautonomia and exertional malaise that happens. Throughout this, when you're connecting with our study coordinators, they're looking at whether the things that are happening are bugs that are coming up, or there are opportunities to sort of do new things. And I thought it was helpful for you to see how we think of looking at a lot of what it is that we're learning from you, all the way through usability, benefit, harm, self-exploration. Because at the end of this project, why are we doing it? We're not doing it to study the data directly that comes out of it. We're trying to evolve these 5 apps to where they're working well enough that these rare as one groups and other communities with no patents and no any locks or anything, constraints on these apps, could start using them for various projects that they wish to do. And this data will help us get a sense of what it is that needs to be done to sort of improve these as we bring them forward. Just go here. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Emma, the lead clinical research associate, who I think all of you participants have had maybe even the most contact with. She helps make real all of our studies. And Emma, would you like to introduce yourselves and introduce the other members of the team?
Yes. So hi, everybody. I am Emma. As Stephen said, I am the lead CRA and a senior research scientist here at For You and Me. I have been leading the participant-facing team at For You and Me for the past 5 years, like this month, the past 5 years. And as Stephen also said, I have the really unique opportunity to talk to all of our participants before they join the study. And it really was wonderful to speak with all of you. Before we move forward, I do want to thank all of our participants for your time and dedication to this research and for your patience as we got started in the first couple of months. We know everyone is super busy, and we're so appreciative to all of you who were able to join today, and as well as all of you who are watching this recorded. So for the participants who are on the call, we will use some time at the end of the call to go through participant questions and participant feedback. Throughout the call, at any time, you can use the chat or the Q&A function both of those should be at the bottom of your screen. You can use either of those to send questions or comments as we go. So yeah, now let's meet the rest of the For You and Me team, starting with Sarah, our lead research scientist, and then to the familiar voices of your study coordinators, followed by Robin and Diane.
Thanks, Emma. Hi, everyone. Great to meet you. I'm Sarah. Good day. We all at For You and Me work have a scope of work in the wearable and the app realm for health and wellness, but we all come from varied backgrounds. And my background is actually in social and psychiatric epidemiology. I don't have a direct participant facing role. I'm behind the scenes working with Stephen and all of our partners, co-designing, co-running the project. But I think the piece of this work and this co-design process that I like the most is getting to hear feedback from you as a participant. And I get to do that indirectly from your research coordinators. We check in every week and we talk about all the feedback that you've been giving them. But it is a delight to be on this call to hear from you firsthand. So thank you so much for being on and giving us your thoughts. So I'll hand it over to Paul next.
Hello, good evening or afternoon to everybody that is on this call. It's such a pleasure to see you guys, meet you all. My name is Paul Gordon, Clinical Research Coordinator for the MyPCD arm. It is an absolute pleasure to meet you all. This is, we're going about 3 months now working here at 4UME, and it's been an absolute pleasure. I have a background in chemistry, but I've also worked in exercise science and the development of devices, and I've worked with participants in other clinical settings, such as, and I'm just so far, I've met a lot of you, and I've had such a pleasure just talking to all of you and connecting with all of you and just kind of getting to know you all. And as we kind of move forward, I'm looking forward to all the discoveries that we'll make about each other. Some of you have even helped me diagnose myself. So good to meet you all and looking forward to working with you moving forward.
Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Leung. I am in charge of the My-Long COVID arm of the study. I have about 7 years of clinical research experience. My background is in hepatology and gastroenterology. I've done a lot of interventional trials and biomarker studies. This is the first time I'm really kind of doing something like this where we kind of get to be creative and share new ideas. So same as Paul and everyone else here, been at it for about 3 months and excited to see what else we have to share here.
Hi everyone, my name is Janae Wilson and I'm a part of the My Pancreatitis arm. My background in research is in addiction medicine, and just being in research, I've noticed that sometimes there's a gap between one, getting the research and the findings out to people that can benefit from it, and having people that need the research be a part of the study. So I'm really happy to be a part of 4UME and a part of all of you in helping to build this tool. I'm really grateful for my participants because you guys are all so open and have opened up a lot about how you've already had to take your own health into your own hands. So I'm happy to be a part of your team in creating this tool to serve you better.
Hi everyone, I'm Maddie Sorensen. So nice to meet you all. I'm head on the RVCP arm of this study. I've been also with 4UME for a couple of months now, and my background is in infectious disease research, some clinical research, and public health epidemiology. So I'm really excited to be here and work with you all and using technology that we get to use every day to support and improve human health. So very excited to continue working with you all and just learn alongside you too.
Hello, everyone. Please excuse my voice. I just managed to lose my voice just in time for the Zoom meeting. But my name is Carissa Poku. I am the research coordinator for the MySarcoidosis arm. I have a background in research in maternal health and pulmonology. I truly enjoy doing research because it gives you, it satisfies my curiosity and also gives answers. My first research was a question that I did have. And what makes 4UME so unique is that it is a wearable study. I have not done a wearable study before, but I'm so glad to join the study, be a liaison between the participants. Hearing you guys' story has been so inspiring and encouraging. And I've just been having a great time with you all. And just knowing that at the end, we will be building an app that will be positive to the participants who use it.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. My name's Robin, and I'm a senior data scientist at 4UME. So I help lead the data side of the study where I use the wearable and survey data that you participants are so generously sharing with us and turning it into meaningful insights about health and well-being. So it's great to be here with you guys as a reminder that, with all the numbers that I see, behind all the numbers that I see is a person, and I hope to make sure that, your experiences aren't just data points, but stories that can help us learn and improve on future care.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diane McKenzie. I am the Chief Program Manager here at For You and Me. I've been with For You and Me for about 4 years now, and I manage the business operations and the device logistics. So if there's any issues with the devices, I'm the person to come to. So it's a delight to be here, and thank you all so much.
Whenever we say we're sending something to fulfillment, to the fulfillment team, that means to Diane. So she's underplaying her role in that.
Thanks all. Okay, I'm going to spend the next few slides just briefly touching on giving all of you some updates and some grounding in some of the terms and definitions that we throw around, and then some updates on how progress is going in terms of the beta testing phase and what you should expect in the upcoming months. So I just wanted to give a definition around what we really mean by beta testing. So for folks who haven't really worked on apps in the past, this might not be that familiar. So we, as an internal team, including the RARES1 advocate leads and clinical partners, have already done an alpha testing phase where we've tested out the apps, and we tried to kind of work out the initial kinks and quirks as much as we can. But the beta testing phase is a really important phase that's intended to be completed by the end users of a particular tool. What we mean by end user is a population that is intended to use the tool in the end. So this is outside the internal developmental team. So we're trying to test a prototype digital tool in a real world environment to find bugs, issues with the apps, provide feedback also on the tool's usability and functionality. So your role as a beta tester participant in the study is to use the app and the associated wearable smart devices. And Stephen uses the phrase of trying to break the app, and I really like that phrase. If you really try to use the app to its fullest, you will find the cracks that need to be improved. And so I think it's a nice phrase when doing these testing kind of protocols. It's useful for you to think about how the use of these tools, including the app, and then also the wearable and smart devices that were provisioned to you for your specific subarm. I think about how they're useful or not useful in relation to your specific condition. Tell us what you like and don't like about the app and the devices, and also certainly tell us what you wish the app could do differently. And we know that many of you are already doing this. I think we skipped some slides, Stephen, or did you change them around? Maybe.
No.
Yeah, this is the next one. Then we can just go back. Okay. Yeah, no problem. And just one other distinction when we say bugs versus modifications. App bugs are really problems with existing features of the app, or if you see, for example, an error pop up in a survey, if the app crashes on you, that's a bug. If the survey is not functioning properly, for example, if the filter logic's not working, if you respond no to having a symptom and then you're prompted to answer questions about that symptom, that's a bug with that survey that needs to be fixed. And of course, grammatical errors and typos, etc. Features, however, include core functionalities of the app. So across all the apps, you do have similar features. So I've noticed feature is one, the compass log is another one. And so we're looking for suggestions to improve these existing features or potentially add new features that don't exist that could be useful for your unique condition. And I think, Steve, if you go forward once, and there's one more before this. Yeah, okay, and then we'll go back. Just to give you a summary of how progress is going so far from the alpha to the beta testing phase. So during our alpha internal development phase, we identified 146 bugs, and we've resolved 117 of those. And we have about 29 remaining that we're still working through, that were kind of a bigger lift that have been taking some time. During the beta phase, which again is the phase that all of you have been participating in, there's been so far over 100 issues reported that have been reported by the research coordinators that we've been reviewing on all of our weekly calls so far. So we're actively reviewing and synthesizing those. So thank you already, because we're just starting, kind of getting into the study, just digging in. So it's fantastic that we already have over 100 issues reported. Wanted to highlight some key bugs that we are aware of, and just wanted to give some updates on. We've heard a lot from you on the gait and walk test error pop-ups, and then also some slow loading time after task completion. For example, if you complete an I've noticed entry. So we're aware of these issues and are looking into them. We know that in some cases, unfortunately, because these apps are they're online only, they do require an adequate Wi-Fi connection. So that is kind of a limitation currently. So if you don't have sufficient Wi-Fi connection, you might find some of these bugs popping up. Thank you so much for all the comments on the medical history surveys. And so we've been implementing those across the apps. There's been a number of different issues that have, many of them have already been fixed, but we're trying to fix up the remaining of those issues that will hopefully be released by next week. And finally, you might notice that you can see many tiles, tasks to complete, historical tasks that are kind of left in your feed in your task section of the app. We've kind of identified the issue behind this, that the task expiries are off. So this is in part already fixed for new tasks, and we're working on a fix to clean up those old tasks. So you don't have to look and see all those tasks. If you complete today's task, you should have no task in your task section. So that's hoping to be fixed and implemented by next week. All right, Stephen, if you could just, yes, wonderful. Now, in terms of delayed features that are scheduled for release, we wanted to give an update. There's a cluster of features that are going to be coming out starting next week. So this first cluster are notifications, and we've certainly heard from some of you. We appreciate the helpful component of having those reminders to complete surveys. So for notifications, we're going to do a versions approach. Our first version will come up by next week, where you should be receiving a notification at 8:30 in the morning, and then also 30 minutes before task expires to give you that little pop-up reminder, time to complete your tasks for the day. For the My PCD and our VCP subarms, I understand that some of you already have the mirror spirometer, but the actual integration of that spirometer assessment within the app is going to be functional with a release date of next week. The next cluster that's going to be the following week includes the My Compass pull-down menu. And I'm not going to go into great detail here because Stephen's going to, in a few slides, describe these features in more detail for you. But just briefly, in a nutshell, you currently you're able to track your responses to the quick activity survey over time, but that the data streams that you're able to follow over time are going to expand to a much larger list with hopefully more meaningful features and symptoms for you. And that will be released between the 14th and 16th of April. The reflections feature, which I know all of you can see, it's in the app, but it's grayed out. I'm really excited for this to come out. That's another feature that will be operational within that time frame. And then finally, for the My PCD app, we had always intended to enroll an adolescent population, 14 to 17-year-olds. We just haven't quite had that minor version of the app ready, but that's another version that's going to be released during that cluster between April 14th and 16th. And the last cluster here, we're going to see a second version of the notifications, which are going to be personalized, where you're going to be able to actually set your own time, your preferred time of day when you want to receive a prompt to complete your tasks. For the My Long COVID group, we will have the Lumia device integrated into the app. And for the RVCP group, you have your pain severity survey that currently asks about the location of pain in a bit of a clunky way. We had always intended to have a body icon where you could select easily where the location of pain was, and then you can go on to report on the severity. So we know the current version is a little bit clunky, and so that final version will finally be implemented and released during that April 18th to 22nd timeframe. Great, and I think there's just one more slide, Stephen. Yeah, wonderful. So this is just to give you an update on what are next steps and what to expect. So since all of you have begun the study, we've been collecting and collating and starting to synthesize your feedback. We've been doing this internally, but we're going to be having a host of meetings with the VAERS1 partners and groups to review that information in more depth so that we can get that information ready to communicate to our tech partner by the end of April, which then gives Agile Ops, our tech partner, the next 2 months to start working on actually implementing actual changes in the app from your feedback where feasible, and starting to roll those out. So we really do hope that you're able to see some of those changes while you're participating into the end of the study. Thanks, and I'm going to hand it over to Stephen, I think. Yeah, good.
Thanks. As was described briefly already by Sarah, currently you have on your phone a way to follow the quick activities, and you can click on which ones you want to include simultaneously to see if there are patterns in terms of what you're thinking. That's valuable. It also has, as I think you've learned, a way to put in "I've noticed" tags when you're in the midst of something, either by text, by audio, or by video, that show up on the compass in this what I call horizontal view. But you can tip it, I think you can tip your phone and get a broader picture of what's going on. And behind it, there is going to be a way where we're going to be able to broadcast that to your computer, so you can actually have enough room on it to be looking at it. The whole concept of this is sometimes by looking at patterns, by what you're doing, you may realize, this change in my fatigue or this change in my concentration is happening for me because of this or that. So this is an exploration tool. That's why it's called a compass. Currently, it has those quick activities that you, I think, are beginning to get used to using. But now I think you get a sense of more why it's there for the explorations. And coming soon, there will be a pull-down menu of up to 8 or 9 features that are able to be also superimposed on this compass structure. So then you can start taking objective data such as heart rate or steps or device from your mirror spirometer, and also integrate it with subjective things like how's your energy, how's your anxiety. So that my compass tool is the portal for being able to do the explanations. You have a chance to interact with your study coordinators. I'm trying this. Have I, what do you think, etc. So that's that My Compass feature is going to expand into a more, deeper exploration tool when you have that pull down menu. That's what's coming soon. The phrase "I've noticed" is something that we've been working on for a while, and we think that it's essential for capturing in the moment something that you want to remember that either was happening to you or how you were feeling, whether it's about pain, whether it's about something else. This is your tag. It's almost like you're tagging things that are going on and saying, I want to remember this for later. So that's momentary ways of giving your insights about what's happening. That and the compass, I've noticed, and the compass are all input for what we're hoping will use soon, coming within the week, is this advertised for some time, but now it's going to happen, Reflections, which is meant to be a place where you can look back on what is that's happening either hourly, weekly, monthly, and see if there's some sense to it, see if there's something you want to try working on. So Reflections are like the end of that. So put the compass and the I've noticed with the data, and hopefully that is sort of like the space, the room in which you can begin to say, what can I learn from what's happening to me? In order to have that not be rushed or be something that you don't have your full attention, in order to have what we call a dialogue with yourself, which is really the most beautiful time, is when you're trying to go, is this, can I, that we also have put in a chance for you to have a way to get ready to do that reflection. And you'll see the language in the reflection where it says, you know, do you want to do this, or do you want to draw, or do you want to do anything? Just so it's not my interrupting your day and trying to do a task, but actually not being in the zone to be able to do that. So reflections are coming with the I've noticed. And I think, Sarah, that takes us through to the open discussion. So hopefully you're able to see myself and Sarah, and hope we've left enough time to be able to open this up to really anything at any level. We're going to compile those questions. We're also going to make it for you who are listening to the recorded session later, that you can actually ask your questions. We're going to try to find a way on the website to actually collate them. But I think we found in the past it takes like 2 or 3 brave people to sort of like begin the like, I'll get up there and do this or that. But hopefully this will get rolling and we'll get some feedback, not just as we get through the coordinators, but in real time about what we just said or about things that you'd been wanting to bring up. So I'm ready to begin to follow those questions. Who is going to verbally bring those into being?
I'm happy to help with that. I did just notice there was one comment in the chat, just to clarify in case other folks have that question, just on Stephen was reviewing the new pull down menu for the compass chart. So you shouldn't see any aura data currently in the app compass chart. So this is part of a coming soon feature that's due to be released next week. So check back next week and please do chat with your research coordinator if you have any questions. So you should expect to see different data feeds, different symptoms, different scores from wearable devices that are assigned to your subarm in your My Compass chart, but not yet. It's going to be released next week.
Yeah, and just one other thing on that, Sarah, before you go to other questions, those pull-down menus were beautifully designed by each of the Rare as One advocate groups. So those are there because they chose and thought that, you know, up to 9 things were worth. When you look at those, it really is your opportunity to go, I don't know why that got picked. I really wish I was able to follow this or follow that. Do you see what I'm saying? So each, I'm bringing it up because all the features, all the things that are there are up for grabs to go, I like it, but I wish it would do. And so when you look at those new pull down menus, realize that those were put in as a base case of things that were likely to be useful, but it's through your comments back to the coordinators that those will grow into what they should be.
Okay, there's a question on the spirometry assessment. I'm seeing a few folks who are saying that they've just seen it in the My VCP arm. So that's interesting, Stephen. So that was due to release next week. So it's interesting that it's showing up in some participants' app, which is great. It's a good thing. But please do reach out to you if you have any questions about how to complete that. Please do reach out to your research coordinator, and they can help you through that. But it should be intuitive from the instructions in terms of the flow and how to complete that assessment. But please do reach out to the research coordinator if you have any questions about that.
And a little bit to the sidebar, but Emma, I'm looking at you. I think you are working with the people at Lumia to make sure that the subarm for Lumia, when those individuals with Daniel have their devices and are getting ready. Next week, we're getting ready to set the time. It's between 2 days right now, but there's another grounding group to the subarm for Lumia that will help them get a better sense of what they're going to do.
Oh, and I'm sorry, just there's another comment here. Thank you. It's more useful context. You can see this is fantastic. We're doing troubleshooting in real time. The spirometry assessment it doesn't have a start now button. So it may just be that it's showing up, but it's not yet functional, but it's going to be functional very soon. But we will work through all these troubleshooting issues. And I anticipate anytime that we implement a new feature, et cetera, there's probably going to be clunkiness like this. So it's fantastic to be able to do this live with you. There's another comment. Once the data flows to the app, will the app be able to flag patterns for you and analyze the data? Does anyone else want to take that? Stephen, did you want to take that?
It's a beautiful idea. We've studied a lot of what causes what, and can you forecast what's going to happen by looking at people's data. And Sarah, you can take this further, but what we've mostly been struck by, and there's a new paper we just submitted on this about women during pregnancy, is how dramatically unique what works for one person really doesn't necessarily work for others. And so there are a lot of companies out there that are saying, we're going to build an AI bot, and we're going to look at all your data, and we'll know what's going to happen to you by taking all of these little pieces, and we'll know you and what to do. And for the most part, that's BS. What I think is possible is from the types of this feasibility study that we're doing to begin to see some patterns that might work, not in this next 2 months, but might work to give as suggestions to people, like, have you thought that this might be the cause? Do you see the difference between saying, this is what you should do? I think that's dangerous and oversold. There's another way, which is to say, here are some things you might think about. So that question that you just raised is one that I think is sort of around the corner, to have some of the patterns that we see being brought back to you, not as a directive, but as a have you considered? And in fact, that's the phrasing we're thinking of using for studies that are about to begin. So I hope that, Sarah, was that enough of it?
I think so. There's another question referring to the slide with the dates for communicating feedback and app changes versus when they'll be implemented. You just had a question you weren't clear on the dates. We can go back to that slide, but just at a high level, nothing for you to worry as a participant for these dates. You don't have to get your feedback in by particular dates. This is really just to give you an update, and is for our group to do the work to synthesize your information. And it also doesn't mean that we're not synthesizing your information. Actually, really, that teal bar should really extend. That should extend all the way to the end of the study, because we will continuously receive feedback from you for the entire study. So it's not that we're making decisions and not collating information after. Oh, and I see. Yeah, the date, the time, something, I think the slide got a little stretched, so the dates are a little off. But basically, by the end of April is the date that we intend to have the initial set of feedback that we're communicating to the tech partners. So that's where that kind of deadline bar was intended to be.
Yeah. And just so people get the loop, that was really well said, is that we'll do it twice. So the first one is, let's get the cluster of potential changes to make, that some of them are heavy lifts, some of them are medium, some of them are trivial or light lifts, and we sort of have to balance what's there. But then, just as Sarah was saying, all the way through we'll be collecting suggestions. And I think, Sarah, we set up for the second tranche to be at the beginning of June. So we've got this one that we're collecting first. And each time what we do is we'll take those ideas, we'll go to our experts in the Rare as One groups, the people who are the advocate and clinician leads, talk over with them to see, do they agree these are important? Then we go to our tech partners, and they say, oh, well, that's beautiful, but you can't do that, or you could do that easily. And that's what then is what drives what beta chains are happening during the next months versus ones that we might recommend be done but won't get done during the next months.
Great. There's another question. Has there been any consideration to map BMI stats like body fat, water composition, and muscle mass? I can initially, so there's a lot to this question, because we kind of skimmed over the earlier phases when we were deciding on the key symptoms to follow across conditions. You can't follow and track everything. We can do our best, but Stephen, I wonder if you want to refer to some of the other devices that we've used. So it's certainly it's feasible to follow those things through, like I'm thinking the body port scale. And we may find that it's for certain conditions, it actually ends up, those types of factors might be more important than some of the other symptoms we included. And we'll learn some of those things through this beta testing phase. But do you want to speak to that at all, Stephen?
Not really, because I think you said it well, and I think what it allowed was a window for, we've talked about suggestions in the app. We've talked some suggestions for what these devices could do. What Sarah, I think you addressed was there are also potentially other devices that we chose not to put into this. So also give us those suggestions and why those are. It was literally one where we had to outweigh what is going to help the group that's interested, for example, in dysautonomia? What is the tool that's out there? And so the ones that were provided, we couldn't give 5 devices for each group, were the ones that each group felt were going to be central, but I don't think it was exclusion. So I think it's really nice to remember, also bring up with your study coordinators, if you feel as if there are tools and devices to follow things that, and why. Right, it really helps, not just the name, but like, why do you think that's important?
Yeah. Okay, there's another comment here. Thank you on the training with the spirometer. Yeah, so we have received that feedback from a participant or two. So thank you again for or this might be from another participant as well. Certainly well noted. So there's the kind of the potential for next train with the spirometer. And so it may be that we'll have to take that back to the team and think about how we can prepare participants for using these devices safely. And maybe there's a safety message in the app. We'll have to take that back to the team and see how we can do that. Stephen, did you want to comment on that?
I do, but when you go more broadly, and I'm taken back, those of you who are in our VCP will know maybe Nathan, and he is filled with wisdom. But Sarah, do you remember when we were starting, he looked at some of the things and he said, at least in our app, there are people who will really want to do these things, but they shouldn't. And you're telling someone, let's do a walk test or let's do a gait test. And it doesn't just apply to those individuals. And in each of the cohorts, there are people where there is something that's going to pop up in the task or the feed. And we've tried to work a language in which sort of allows you to say, only if you feel as if this is something that you should be doing. So we've tried to do that. You can help us if it's not strong enough. But the other is that, Sarah, I think we were talking yesterday or earlier today, to make it easier, there's going to be a skip function on the active tasks, so that not only can you go, I shouldn't do it, but you can like just snap, I'm not doing that, because I do think that this is to get, we're not trying to collect data to do some study. That's not why we're running this. We're doing this so you can follow what is beneficial to you. So for all of those active tasks, remember that you have a choice to go, I really don't think that's a good idea, or I don't feel like doing that. And we hope that you can help us make it so that people who aren't beta testing later using it won't feel as if they're under any obligation to do things, because that's not at all what's there. So I just broadened it out. I didn't really go further, but I wanted to make sure we said, each of you, don't do things. It's for you that you don't feel you should be doing, and tell us,
always.
and tell your coordinators so that they get a better sense of, I have an individual who's never doing X. Well, there's a good reason.
Can I just quickly interject, because I'm getting the general sense of that participants would like more information about the spirometer, when to use it, how to use it, all of that. And I totally, completely agree with that. You guys need more information. We're actually working on getting that to you as soon as possible. But we hear you. And I totally agree. You definitely do need more instructions. You have been given very vague information. So that is coming. And I know it's important. So we'll prioritize that for sure. And then after we get that out to all of you, we can, go from there if more guidance and more instructions are needed.
Thank you, Diane. I just noticed, so the Q&A, I haven't actually been looking at the Q&A because we had so many questions also in the webinar chat. So I'm going to just shift over there. We have some questions on the Aura Ring. What is the best time to charge the Aura Ring? I just received mine today. This is a personal thing. I know, Stephen, you kind of give the suggestion, charge the ring when you're showering. It's potentially a good time, but it really is it has to be a personal time to you where you won't forget to pick up the ring afterwards. It's something I've been using the Aura Ring now for about 5 years, and I still have to kind of shift up the time when I'm charging. I actually have the charger at my desk at work, and I do it at work, and that works for me. But it really has to be personal to you. I would suggest to put it in a visible space. Does anyone else have any other suggestions there?
No, just a quick one about chaining. So chaining, and what I mean by that is if you have a ritual that you're doing every day that has about 15 minutes, max 20, and you do it every day, your ring will stay charged. You don't have to charge for an hour in order to do it. So the recommendation that Sarah gave was a perfect one. Sometimes when we have people who have like the Empatica device and that they're using during the day and the ring at night, then there's a chance to charge the other one. So a lot of the time the ring has been most effective in tracking things at night. And if you have a device you're wearing during the day, I don't think we feel strongly that you need to be wearing your Empatica 24 hours. And so you may find ways where you can switch them out and do it for longer, but be creative. But doing it every day has a benefit. If you try to wait till the thing goes down, then you got to wait longer for it to charge, and you don't remember. So I think getting into a routine and chaining means taking a ritual that you have and saying, during this time, I charge my X device.
We have another question on the Aura Ring. Are we supposed to use the new AI feature? But in general, regarding the Aura Ring, you are, of course, more than welcome to use any of the features with the Aura app. But as a participant in the study, you're not actually required to interact with any of the Aura features. It's really just to use the Aura Ring. And as Stephen noted in the compass chart, next week will be released. Some of the Aura features will be showing up in the study app. So it's really up to you how you interact and how you'd like to use the Aura app. But if you have any questions about the Aura app features or how to interpret the data, certainly reach out to your research coordinator who should be able to help with some of that. And regarding the Aura Ring app, will the app identify irregular heartbeats? This is another one. I don't believe the Aura Ring has that specific feature like the Apple Watch. So no, unfortunately, I don't think that's a feature that you can track in Aura currently. This is a really useful one. And how are we? These are all very useful. In the how are we feeling questions, can there be something between not at all and several days, or define what is several days? Yeah, that's thank you for that. And this type of comment, when we implement certain surveys, it's always hard to define things in ways that will be interpreted the same for everyone. So really useful to hear that certain things might not mean the same for one person versus the other. So we can take that back and think about that for some of the response categories of our surveys.
Another one that I didn't see has come up is a question I expected, but I didn't look at any of them. There are things where we're tracking quick activities once a day, mood, and things like that. Many of these conditions are ones where it's really quite fluid during the day. And I know that coming in from the study coordinators, some of you have been bringing up, it sure would be nice if we could track some of the things that you're asking for less frequently, more frequently, whether it's the spirometer and not just using it weekly, or whether it's the quick activities like I'm in pain. And these are coming back to us and resonating. And so any more comments that you have about the frequency at which something is offered, where you feel as if you could do a better portrait, you could follow something on a compass better if there was a variable frequency. Flood us with those questions. I think it may change how it is that we're presenting things.
Sorry, Sarah, can I just quickly interject as we're nearing the end? I just want to, there's so many questions here, and I just want to let everyone know we will definitely be answering all these questions. So we will go back through all of the questions that have been asked, and we will write out answers to all of these. So if your question does not, if we don't get to your question in the next 3 minutes, we will answer your question.
Yeah,
and we'll send that out to everyone.
Yeah, and Emma, hoping I get to see a little more of Bear. No, I'm just kidding. But it's cool, so nice. I have a question on that. For the people who are doing the looking at the recording, can you repeat how it is that they're going to get their questions in? If people are looking at it and they're not live now.
So everyone was given the opportunity to send in questions before the meeting. However, if questions arise as people are watching the meeting, or for anybody who's on the call now, if you think of questions after the call, we will also collate those. So either send those to me or to your coordinator, but we'll collate all of these, anything that comes in after and everything that's being asked live, and we'll put all of them together with answers. So we'll get that out to everybody.
Yeah, and one other one I hope, and I know we're really at time, but Sarah, this is that also give us questions or suggestions on the Zoom. I know we're going to do one more, and so if you found the template that we used helpful, if there are ways that you think we could use this time when we do it next time, also might as well canvas you for ways that you'd like to see what we're doing in the Zoom room. If you want to see us do it differently, please also include those questions.
I think we might just have time for one more question before we get off. And I think there's one there that's quite important, Stephen, that I want to hand over to you. How do we share this information with our doctors? And can we print out a one-pager?
So let me do the second part. You can print it out, absolutely. And when we have it, Sarah, see if I'm doing it right. When we have it so that you can take your compass and you can put it on your screen, you can screenshot your compass to share. So pretty cool, like to be able to do that. But it is most important, and we didn't emphasize it here. This is to give you insights into what's going on. It's never to change your therapy. Do you see what I mean? This is not because we're expecting you to be doing changes to your therapy. But in order to convey what's happening to you, the ability to take your phone and show the app and say, here's what I'm seeing, as a way to convey to a doctor what's happening to you. I think, Sarah, that's absolutely fine. I think that's helpful.
I agree. So I think we're at time. Thank you so much. I'm sad that we can't get through all these on the call today, but as Emma mentioned, we will be responding to all of these. Thank you so much for joining. We had great attendance. This has been really, really useful, and I look forward to the next one.